It is amazing that how fear will take a rational mind and make it completely unrational. I mean, think about it. Think about things that you have been wanting to do for a very long time, or maybe things in your past, and for some reason or another, you just didn't make it happen. I almost didn't hit record today. This is my first YouTube video. For some reason, I'm dragging my feet on, hitting record, and kind of thinking about it, it's all fear-based. I mean, there's literally no risk whatsoever. Who do I think is gonna actually see this? I mean, my fear is that people I know are gonna see it and think, man, what is that guy doing? What's Chris up to now? Oh, that is so stupid. Or I'll get that voice in my head saying, Chris, why you wasting your time? This is gonna fail. But there's really like no risk whatsoever. And from what I heard about this platform is that if you're gonna do a video like this, tell none of your friends, tell none of your family. And that's exactly what I'm doing. That I would somehow, some way kind of find my people. By the way, my name is Chris Koelliker. I'm 45 years old, 54 years old. Yeah, I moved down to North Carolina 4 years ago. And I remember for many years growing up, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get out of New York. And if you know people from New York, or you lived in New York, there's probably thousands of times you've heard people talk about, I'm getting out of New York, and it just never happens. Well, all that talk for many, many years led to a point 4 years ago where I was offered a promotion, a very large transportation company, I'll leave it at that. And I was square in the face with making a decision. I mean, I just can't even tell you like what I felt at the time. I felt really excited and, I guess proud that the division manager at the time, gave me a call in the middle of the night and offered me this position. And instead of just saying yes right off the bat, I told him I had to think about it. I mean, dude, for years you were saying you can't wait to get out of New York. You're working for a bigger and better position somewhere in North Carolina. Bro, you love to golf, you hate the cold. I ended up making the right decision and I moved down here. And another quick story, I left said company last year in January. That was a huge risk, but actually wasn't. I think Chris Voss, author of Never Split the Difference, ex-FBI negotiator, he talks about, and I'm probably get this wrong, he talks about the amygdala and how in our brains, which is a lot of times led by irrational thinking, we treat risk as death, and it can never be that bad. Now listen, don't get me wrong, if you're gonna take a risk like, walk across the street without looking both ways, all right, that's just ridiculous. Normal everyday decisions really is not a life or death situation. I left said company last year in January because I was unhappy, and I wanted to look for a new job. I couldn't even look for it because I was working so many damn hours. Anyway, I left, did some soul searching, and decided on a career in real estate. That's not what this message is all about. But why real estate? Again, another risk. Well, you know what? I wanted to run my own business. I love dealing with people. Although I can be, and maybe am, an introvert by nature, which again is another reason why this is so uncomfortable talking into a camera. But anyway, all these problems, they actually start right up here in my head. And for me, and maybe for you, living in your head is not a good place. I wish sometimes I was able to just make these decisions just quickly and just go with it. But so really, I guess why I made this video is maybe some of the things that have worked for me, to kind of get my head right. One of those things is definitely try to get some kind of movement in the day. I make it a point every morning right now to get up early, and I have a pretty quiet road down here in Chapel Hill, and I just take like a 3-mile walk in the morning, and it just feels very good. It feels like I've accomplished something super early in the morning. I find myself when I do that in the morning and it's done, like there's nothing else that's gonna stop me from getting whatever work I need to get done that day. I'm not sure if that made any sense. 2, I generally eat healthy diet. For me, it's usually something like some yogurt or some berries and some nuts. And 2, I try to call up some friends and try to call up some people that I haven't talked to in a while, and just kind of see what's going on with them. What's that got to do with taking risks or not? I don't know. I think it kind of just gets my head in the right space. It gets my mind right. I guess this gives me a lot of positive feelings. If I don't do those things, You know, I could tend to maybe think a little bit negative, and I think that just compounds itself throughout the day. And, you know, self-doubt starts creeping in, and next thing you know, you look at the end of the week and you pass up on a tremendous amount of opportunities. And believing there's opportunities out there every single day that, you know, we need to actually, I guess, take advantage of. You know, I had no idea 4 years ago when I moved down here that, number one, I'd be living in Chapel Hill. Number two, live in a brand new home that we built, moved into last July. Met an awesome woman, and we live together, and you know, the career is doing pretty good. So really, I try to think about that every day. I try to think about starting the day right, staying positive, and as situations pop up, I need to be ready to make decisions and you know, take those small little risks, or those perceived risks. Yeah, and if you actually got anything out of this, and I appreciate you actually sticking around and listening to this. If you like it, hey, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment if you like to hear something else. You know, 54 years on this planet has taught me a lot, and I'm still making mistakes. But yeah, I've been through a lot, just like you have, and I hope to hear from you.